How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we are going to be showing off the brand new operation that you can use to pick up some free vehicles within World of Tanks console, as well as some of the other update news that we've received over the last few days on World of Tanks console. So without further ado, let's start on this big operation where you can pick up some free vehicles, or at least one free vehicles, and you can choose which one that you actually want. And we've got, I believe, 4 vehicles that you can actually pick up. So what is this operation all about? It's actually available on Tuesday, so from Tuesday you'll be able to use this. And essentially you'll be able to claim one vehicle as well as pick up some boosters, premium time, and some other rewards along the way, as well as we usually have with these earn operations. So the 4 vehicles up for grabs in this earn operation are the Super Hellcat, you've got the Emil 1951, the TCM AGS Detente era premium vehicle for Cold War, and you've also then got the Object 752 heavy tank that has an autoloader. So we'll give a brief overview of each one. I guess we can open up a little tab for each one so you guys know what the vehicles are, and I'll give my little kind of mini review of each one. So first one is the Super Hellcat. It's essentially a Hellcat. It's got a little bit of spaced armor. Don't worry, the armor is pretty sucky, so you get penned by most things anyway. But think of this as a tier 7 Hellcat that is super fast. It's got 72 kilometers an hour top speed. I actually kind of really enjoyed this vehicle as a premium tier 7, and I found it to be kind of cool. It's usually probably preferred by a lot of the I don't want to say experienced players, but it kind of is. I mean, it's not particularly an easy tank to get to grips with as a new player because it has no armor, and it does kind of require you to have a top skill crew, you know, a 9 skill crew. Things like that will make this tank so much better. And essentially what you have with this vehicle is a fast firing kind of light tank destroyer, if that even makes sense. I mean, it's got really good camo, really good view range, and that allows you to pump out quite a nice amount of damage. You've got 2000 damage per minute at tier 7 as a tank destroyer, which is very, very good. And you can boost this up using some of the perks. You can probably get this to around 2500 damage per minute when you put on, you know, advanced loader. If you're putting on stuff rapid loading as a perk and equipment, obviously, then yeah, this is going to be quite a nice one. You can probably bring down the reload from 8.45 rounds a minute to lower, meaning that your reload is going to be significantly good, allowing you to track opponents, get damage, whilst also then pumping people with this 90mm, and it is a very, very good tank. Do I think that it is the best of the lot? I guess it could potentially be, but of course this is the lowest reward, so you don't need a whole lot to be able to pick this one up. 600 points to be exact, and of course as you go through you'll be able to decide which vehicle that you want. Now, the next vehicle then is the Emil 1951. This is essentially, if you take an Emil 1 and then buff it slightly, and of course then make it a premium that earns you more silver, this is pretty much what the Emil 1951 is. It gets a 3-shot autoloader, it has 360 damage per shell, so you've got 1080 damage that you can deal at tier 8 as a heavy tank. Its turret armor is better than the Emil 1 in my opinion. It kind of looks a little bit more like you'd see with the tier 9 and tier 10, where it doesn't have a flat back like the Emil 1 does. It does mean that in the side you can get penned quite easily. It's a bigger area for you to hit, but it does get your typical good turret armor to a degree. I mean, tier 10s could probably pen you with premium ammunition, and certainly some tier 9s as well, but it's still fairly good, fairly consistent. The main problem with this thing is that although it is fairly fast, 45 kilometers an hour, it's kind of a little bit sluggish. It's not necessarily got the best accuracy either, 0.4 and a 2.75 second intraclip reload, meaning it has quite a fairly long intraclip reload, allowing you to kind of miss out on some of the damage, and you may only fire 1 shell sometimes out of the magazine, meaning that, yeah, you can miss out on a bit of damage there. The damage per minute is also 1600, which is not particularly amazing, but, you know, as we say with most of them, you can get this up to probably 2000 damage per minute, potentially with all of the perks, equipment, and stuff that you can put on to boost your damage per minute. So it becomes fairly consistent. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was something a little bit new that you don't typically see with some of these tier 8 heavies. And yeah, really nice premium, earns 50% more silver as well. And yeah, just generally a very good tank and quite a balanced one, to be honest, in my opinion. Then you move on to the next operation, which is essentially you can pick the TCM AGS, and this is the premium Cold War vehicle that has a ridiculous autoloader. It has, I believe, 9 shells in the clip. It has a pretty long intra-clip reload, so 3.5 seconds, meaning that you, from the first shell to the last one, you've got about 6 seconds between firing your first shell. But having 9 shots in the clip and 480 damage, you're able to deal approximately 4,300 damage in a clip, which is pretty ridiculous, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, it's quite a fun one. It's super fast. And of course, it has this turret that is very minuscule. So poking over a ridgeline and using the gun depression means that, yeah, you're going to be able to have some pretty significantly good games. I mean, 10 degrees of gun depression, pretty much very consistent throughout all of the tanks with decent gun depression. And yeah, earns 50% more silver. It is a brilliant tank to earn silver since the standard rounds are fairly decent as well. 421, probably on the lower side, I guess, at the detente era. But if you can catch someone off guard, if you can come up from behind them and you're able to consistently track them and deal damage, then this tank becomes outrageously good. Also has fairly decent concealment, and of course you can buff the view range as well. 565 meters view range. Yeah, this can go up, so maybe you could run a camo build with this thing. But yeah, I mean, in general, really did enjoy this one. So actually, the first 3 vehicles are very, very good. And will this continue on to the 4th one, which is the Object 752? Now, this is the top kind of package or tank that you can pick up as part of this event, and it will cost you 1,000 points. We'll get onto how you get the points in a second, but the Object 752 is a vehicle that has a 3-shot or 4-shot autoloader, so it does indeed have 3 shots. When I first reviewed this vehicle, I thought it was like a medium heavy because it was fairly fast, and I mean it kept up to top speed relatively well, and it also has this really troll armor whereby you have a very slim profile, kind of lower plate, meaning that it's kind of a little bit of a pain to actually penetrate, as well as having a okay turret frontally. Of course, the side armor is pretty much a pen, but because of the low profile, a lot of the time some people may only end up actually hitting the tracks, which means they do no damage, which is always nice. So it's kind of a bit of a troll armor. You can't rely on it 100%, and people with good aim will actually just pinpoint the weak points of this vehicle, and you'll end up kind of feeling a little bit worse for wear. But remember, it is a 3-shot autoloader, so even if they do pen you for 1 shell, you can deal 3 lots of 390. So I believe you're looking at just under 1,200 damage in a clip. So really, really good. 1,170 to be exact, I believe. And yeah, it's still very, very powerful when you get this thing working as intended. But it does have a 3.4 second aim time, a 3.2 second intra-clip reload, which is not particularly great, 0.42 accuracy, so it's kind of derpy, but of course with all of the perks that you can do to your accuracy and of course your aim time that you could put on this tank, along with the equipment, it's going to be a fairly consistent one to be able to reliably hit your shells. With 1,750 hit points, it's fairly standard at tier 9. But of course, you know, it's down to you whether or not you want to purchase this. If you're not really interested in playing kind of this heavy tank role that has a little bit of troll armor, then, you know, you could go with something like the 1951 Emile, or of course the Super Hellcat, which is very good. Or if you play Cold War, then obviously you're going to be looking at the TCM AGS if you haven't already got it. Remember, this tank, if you wanted to purchase it, would be very expensive. So in terms of having the tank as an investment, I guess, in terms of like if you wanted to collect all of the vehicles, then this is the best one for you, since the base cost of it is 17,500 gold, which is considerably more than all of the vehicles before it. I mean, even the detente era premium is 14,000 The Emil 1951, 10,000, Super Hellcat, 5,500. So, you know, in terms of saving you money, if you wanted to purchase all of them at some point, this is the best one to purchase, just because it is so expensive. It does get 8 degrees of gun depression, which is nice and not typical of a Soviet heavy, so really good to see that in here. And yeah, the turret is kind of troll, 330 armor on the turret. So yeah, it's fairly consistent, and I think most people will enjoy playing this thing. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, all of the vehicles are actually very, very good and fairly well balanced. I don't think any of them are like super overpowered or outrageously broken or anything like that, which makes it kind of refreshing that we're getting some tanks that we haven't really seen as part of Earn operations for a while. I mean, I know we had the Super Hellcat Earn operation, so maybe some of you will have already got that. But, you know, overall, really, really decent. And I'm not even, maybe I'm wrong in the Super Hellcat Earn operation, but I know that they released the Hellcat 105 as an Earn operation ages ago, so I'm not entirely sure if this was, but either way, you know, the rest of them very, very good, and I highly recommend you actually jump on and try and get some of these if you're playing the game. Don't stress about it though if you aren't able to play that much this month, and you know, you can always end up just getting the lower point one if that is what ends up being the case. But how do you get these points? Well, like we typically have in World of Tanks console, when you earn XP by placing in the top 5, you'll be able to get points. Now, unfortunately, this is a bit of an annoying one for most people, I would expect, and it's going to be a horrible one for you to grind. And it means that you are going to have to come in the top 5 as opposed to the top 10 like we previously had. So if you come in the top 5 and you're not 3rd or above, you essentially get 1 point. So for example, you would have to get the top package, get in to the top 5 XP on your team 1,000 times, which is 1,000 games over the course of about 2 months, basically. No, not even 2 months. A month, which is pretty ridiculous. I mean, 1,000 games in a month is just unrealistic for the majority of players. I mean, I don't even come close to that. I might be looking at maybe 200, maybe 300 in a month, maybe, depending on how much I'm playing and what sort of content that they've got out at that point. So yeah, going out of your way if you're a player that isn't necessarily consistently coming in the top 5, you're probably never going to be able to complete this operation in a month. So, I mean, it's a typical wargaming, like if they give us some really good tanks, really good operation, but they make it like ridiculously hard for the majority of casual players to be able to get it. I mean, even 600 points, you're going to have to play 600 games in an entire month if you just come in the top 5. And remember, if you don't come in the top 5, you don't get any points towards this. So you do have to come in the top 5 XP earners on your team, which is very, very difficult to consistently do that over 600 games for an average player. I mean, myself, I'd be looking at probably a 3rd place finish on average, or above, obviously. And that's after having like a 62% win rate, etc., playing like a ton of the game over 8 years now. I think I've got the 8-year badge. So, I mean, yeah, for the player that's maybe just joined the game and they see this, they're thinking, yeah, I can get some free premiums, and then they realise they've got to spend hundreds of hours probably to get this one throughout the month. Well, not hundreds of hours, but a considerable amount of hours. I would expect probably like 50 hours on average. I mean, even if you play like 10 games an hour, which is essentially 6-minute matches plus joining the next game, you would then have to play 100 hours of gameplay to be able to do that, playing 10 games an hour, and of course coming in the top 5. Remember, if you do come top, you get 5 points. If you come 2nd or 3rd, you get 3 points. So it makes it a lot easier if you're able to do that. But yeah, I mean, if you struggle to get in the top 5 in the first place, it's going to be awful for you. So I expect if you want to make this easier on yourself, this is a kind of an example, then lower tiers are typically easier to come in the top 6, especially if you do have top skill crews, as you'll be just better than everyone else because you've got a top skill crew, you've got full equipment in your tank, and especially if you play a broken vehicle. Light tanks will also get more base experience than a lot of other vehicles, so you could play a tier 6 light tank and then just go for damage and assistance, and that's probably going to yield you the best chance of coming top in the game. If you wanted to, tank destroyers are usually quite difficult to come top because of the fact that you have to deal a lot more damage than you'd expect from something like a light tank to get the XP requirement to come top. So yeah, I mean, overall, it's just not ideal for the majority of people. I think most people will probably get to the 250 points in the month, and well, maybe they'll get to the super Hellcat if you play like 50 games every couple of days, which is quite a lot. It's just typical, isn't it? I mean, previously they had the operation whereby, you'd come in the top 10, you get 1 point. If you come in the top 5, you get 2 points. And then if you come in the top, I don't know what it was, like top 3, you get 5 points or something ridiculous like that, which was kind of nice, and obviously you could blast through some of the operations. But Wargaming seemed to be going away from that and making it difficult for people to be, which I don't disagree with. I mean, it should be more difficult for, people to get it if you are performing terribly or if you're coming last in your team every single time. But my point would be if they made the operations more interesting by not requiring you to just get XP, but maybe if you had to, I don't know, set someone on fire and you had to do that 20 times and then you had to do something else, and then each of the stages was kind of more interesting. This one is literally just a grind fest, which I'm not particularly a fan of. It would be more interested if they do more mission style things like they do with the season challenges, like, pen 100,000 shots, not literally, but for example, if you had to pen 1,000 shots over the course of the month, and that would be one of the challenges, and then you complete another one, and the more challenges you complete out of the total, you would then enable yourself to get the tanks. That would just be my opinion as a better way to go. Obviously, if you're more skilled at the game, you're going to get the benefits of doing more per game than someone else, but at the end of the day, most people are still going to be able to get the tanks and of course the reward, and it's still incentivized. But for me personally, and me telling you guys, should you do this operation, if you're a casual player, I just wouldn't bother trying to grind out the games, and I wouldn't bother going down to tier 6 in a light tank because it's probably still unachievable for most people, and I just don't think that this was a very good operation in terms of the management side of it, in terms of the points required. I mean, for me, I could play 100 games coming top and I'm going to be able to get a lot of the vehicles, but for the average player base who are going to want the vehicles, because usually people that have played a lot more and more experienced probably spent money on buying vehicles like this in the game, and therefore don't really need them. You only get rewarded silver if you've already got them. So yeah, I don't know. That's my opinion. Obviously, you guys are entitled to your own, and I'd be interested to see what you guys think of this. I mean, it's a brilliant operation in terms of the rewards, but the actual getting them is just a pain. But either way, let's move on to the other news for this week, because there is a little bit of extra stuff that Wargaming always do, including the Q&A. So let's jump over into that. So the operation here, we have the developer stream recap notes. So obviously this season at the moment is going on until the 11th of April. So we've got a little bit left. I mean, a month, 28 days, whatever you want to call it. And the road to the swamp is now complete, so you'll be able to see swamp in the game. I mean, for me personally, I've not seen it yet. I've played about 10 games, which kind of sucks, but it is in the game at this point. So yeah, it'll be kind of cool. And apparently they've changed the map weight, which means you'll be able to see it more often, around 10 to 14% more often at the moment. I guess that will change as they, as this event kind of finishes and you don't necessarily see this in the game. But this week we also had the new Weasel 1A1 tow, which if you saw the video last week, you'll have seen that it's not particularly the most balanced vehicle in Cold War, since it has the auto-loading missile launcher that is, yes, a little bit broken, but either way, 1400 damage. It's kind of like the Centurion AVRE in Cold War with its alpha and of course having an ATGM only. Yeah, still really fun to play, super small and annoying for pretty much everyone except the player who's playing it. Then we also had the Valkyria Chronicles, and at the moment there is String Theory back for this week, the best operation at the moment for getting XP, where if you string wins together you will get extra XP based on how many wins you've struck in a row. So for example, 2 wins gives you 2 times XP, 3 wins in a row gets you 3 times, all the way up to 5 times XP, and then if you win, 6 times in a row you only get 5 times XP, so it kind of caps out at 5 times. Obviously, trying to get 20 wins in a row is going to be a pain in the backside and most people aren't going to do it, but if you could, that would be super OP for the amount of XP that you can get. And then the new premium contract for the Legion 59 pattern, which we already have in the game. So yeah, I mean, it's part of the season pass, and there'll be a video tomorrow as of the recording and publishing on Monday which showcases the Legion 59 pattern, or the unskinned version of the 59 pattern, which is the exact same. And yeah, I mean, you guys will see what the vehicle is like in that one. Of course, International Women's Day was on Wednesday to celebrate, and they gave a brand new commander. There's also commander XP to free XP conversion being 1 to 32, and commander skill respec is also 50% off as well with commander skill swap. So yeah, nice. I mean, you can swap out your crews for 45 gold instead of 90. And I guess next week is the more important information. So of course we had the Dream Machines contract operation that we've just highlighted, and there's also some St. Patrick's Day kind of operations as well, where you can pick up lucky key cards, which are terrible if you want to actually purchase them because they don't offer you a very good chance of getting a premium. I believe it was 1%. It may change, I have no idea, but last time and every time that this has come out for the last couple of years, it's been 1% chance of getting a premium. They're usually $1, like 40 or something for 1 key card, and essentially all they guarantee you is a lucky commander, which is just a skinned version of a commander that doesn't really provide you that much. So yeah, I mean, it's there. And there's also the Luck of the Irish challenge, where you win 10 battles, get random drops, anything from silver boosters, XP boosters, and lucky inscriptions and emblems, which is nice. It's a nice little bonus. And the gold to silver conversion will be at 1600 rather than 1400 as well. So you'll be able to get more silver from gold, which I highly don't recommend you ever spend money on when it comes to converting gold to silver, since you can literally buy a premium tank for silver and then you've got unlimited amounts of silver earning capacity. And especially if you play Cold War premiums like the TCM AGS, if you manage to get it, you can earn like 400,000 silver in a battle, which is ridiculous, and essentially going to save you like 400 gold or something stupid every single game that you play in it. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Obviously, if you're a millionaire and you don't care about spending money on the game and it's not an issue to you, then yeah, go ahead if it saves you time. But yeah, for the majority of people, it's not worth it. Then there's the booster bundles, where you can get some bundles within the game, so there'll also be that, and the Banshee Comet come into the store for a week 2, which is a good tank. I did a video on this not long ago, and I really enjoy that vehicle, so maybe you can go back and check that out if you're interested, and it will be at 50% off usually, so yeah, that's nice. And then on top of that, there'll be a trade-in week, which I despise every time the trade-in operation comes out, because all it is you trade in a vehicle that you already own, a premium, to be able to get another premium at a reduced cost, because you've traded in your vehicle at 50% of the original gold value. So for example, you got a premium for 10k that you bought, then you trade it in for another vehicle that's 10k, you will get 5,000 gold knocked off of the price of whatever you purchase, which means that you spend 5,000 gold on getting a new premium that you then lose your old premium and having no access to that. And that means that essentially you've traded one of your vehicles and paid 5,000 gold for a vehicle. And remember, you often see the vehicles in the trade-in event, like all of these, for 50% off during boosters anyway, so you may as well just save the gold on your account and wait for the vehicle that you like to come on sale, because why would you want to trade in a premium essentially on top of the gold that you'd be paying during a sale to get a free vehicle? Well, not even free, but a vehicle in the game. So that's my opinion on the trade-in event. Just for general people, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, unless you were never going to play the premium vehicle that you're using ever again, then yeah, maybe it would be worth it. But for me, I never have used the trade-in event, and I never will in the future. So that's just my opinion. And then the long bomb contract will be available again next week. So this is the AT2 with a derp gun. So really, really fun one. And I'm going to go for this, hopefully. And then there is also super test applications. So they released that they will be accepting applications to the super test for anyone to join, and they are now closed. So they'll be starting the review process soon. So the application's closed. They'll then start accepting people in. So keep an eye on your emails, and you'll get an acceptance email in the next 2 weeks. And then of course we have the questions. So what are the questions? Well, there are any plans for an equipment sale. So they brought it to the attention with the events team, and you should see one later this month. So that's nice. Really good time to buy equipment, save up your silver, buy all of the equipment in the game that you possibly can for all of the vehicles that you think you're going to play. And then essentially when the event ends, you can potentially sell all of those equipment for the same price that you paid it for it, which means that it's not costing you anything to put on equipment on a vehicle, which is always brilliant. So of course that only applies to when the event ends, because you get 50% of the value of whatever it is at the time that you're selling it. So if, for example, an equipment usually costs 500,000, it then becomes half price to 250,000, which means then you go and you buy the equipment for 250,000. And then what happens is, if you then went to sell it again, you would only get 125,000, which means you've lost 125,000. Whereas if it goes back up to 500,000 and then you sell it, you're going to get 250,000 back, which is what you originally put in. So it's a free time to be able to get your equipment. So really, really good time. And I highly implore everyone to go out and buy equipment during this period on any tank that you think you're going to be playing during that time. And of course, it's free in terms of the silver, unless of course you want to go and use that silver to buy a new tank, etc. When can we expect buffs for World War II premium tanks? Nothing in the schedule, but Max Chaos goes through these tanks one at a time. Then we get a lump sum of tanks to be changed. So once we have this, we'll let you know. So no premiums at the moment looking to be buffed at this moment in time, of course. Can the position of Mark of Excellence be adjusted on certain tanks like 705A? So this has been a back and forth process, because we try adding things to the barrels like nets, etc. And the 705A Mark of Excellence had to be pushed closer to the mantlet itself, or it would have been covered up with the cloth. So I'm assuming this is for the skin. So yeah, they will continue to be mindful of it, but no plans to adjust it at the moment. Could we get some of the skins that PC has? So yes, they do have the capability, but our artists work on seasons and tanks in them, so it's a bit out of reach to grab the PC skins and put them on ours. We could run a poll and see which PC skins the community want and work on one at a time. So for example, I think the PC, they've got like the mouse skins. I think that they also have things like the AMX50B skin. They've got loads of different skins, all for loads of different tanks that will be very interesting to see in the game. But of course, at the moment, they're just prioritizing other things at this time. So yeah, we're not going to be seeing them all come in at once, etc. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll see more skins either way. And then where are the double barrel tanks? This one's been back and forth in our design and trying to fit them in our schedule, but we are aiming for sometimes this year. I mean, they've been literally saying it's been going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for like 5 years or however long it's been on PC. I mean, I don't even fingers crossed we may see them, but I don't know, maybe they're having troubles. I've said this in previous videos. I think that it's just a trouble with trying to get the system to work in the game where you have the option to fire both at the same time. Maybe there is a logistical reason why that it can't happen, or a hardware issue whereby the older consoles, I'm talking about Xbox One and PS4, may not be able to cope with it. I have no idea. Wargaming don't seem to really want to highlight why it's never been done. Maybe they're just not literally focusing on making them because they're harder to make than, for example, bringing in new vehicles and premiums. Maybe that's the reason, but you guys obviously know. And then more tank lines when, so something fresh might be coming next season, so we may be seeing a brand new tank line, so I'm looking forward to that. I have no idea what it will be, but I'm assuming it will be a Cold War tech tree vehicles that haven't been in the game or any games on the World of Tanks franchise, including Blitz and of course PC, so it'd be interesting to see that. Any news on any random battle or random button for filters so it picks a tank for me? So nothing on this front just yet. This is a user interface bandwidth issue that we need to prioritize over other things first. So I'm assuming that the power at which they have within the consoles that they can use are limited, so they can't add too many features, otherwise it will just become so laggy in the garage that you can't use it. So I'm assuming that that's what it is. So yeah, I mean, essentially it's just like a usability issue. Can it actually be usable? I mean, there's no problem with why they wouldn't be able to do it. It just might not be like hardware possible for some of the older consoles, which World of Tanks console kind of covers. Will missiles ever get nerfed? So nothing currently planned, but they have a ticket for an arming distance for ATGMs that stops them from being fired from close range, but no promises that this will be done. So essentially what this means is that you saw, if you watch my video on the new vehicle, that you can just go right next to a vehicle. You're tiny, you can just fire a missile straight away and it can blow up. It doesn't cause damage to you and you can deal 1400 damage. Then you scurry off and then you YOLO someone again, get right close to them, and that way you're never going to miss with your missile. So yeah, I get the idea of the arming, so that if you fire a missile at like, I don't know, 2 centimeters away from a tank, it's not going to explode. It'll just kind of ping off and not do any damage, which I think would be good, like a balancing feature to missiles. Will mercenaries show up for Cold War? So yes, we might add some mercs to Cold War later this year, which might be cool. And when will we get the license for Oddballs Sherman? We can't answer any questions about future licensing, so I'm assuming that this is from the it's from the film, as in Oddballs. I want to say it's like not the Dirty Dozen or something like that. It might be the Dirty Dozen, but you guys will know this 100%. I literally can picture the guy's got a big mustache, and yeah, I can remember the tiger goes down like a very narrow street, which I have no idea why they even bother going in that, and then the gun stops from being able to turn around. I mean, it'll be, and then I think they shoot like paint at the vehicles in the thing to show that it's hit or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see that if they do ever bring it in. But yeah, you guys will let me know in the comment section down below what the movie title is. I'm sure I could find it out, but it'll be more interesting to see what you guys come out with in the comments. And of course, if you want to find it out, just look in the comment section. There will be hundreds of, well, not hundreds, but quite a few comments I expect of people finding that one out. And can we have the Chrysler TV8? So I'm not too sure about that one. It looks a very top heavy lol, but most likely not. So I have no idea what this is. But yeah, I guess they're probably not going to bring it in. What is the next Cold War premium bonus for? We don't have any schedule, so there's no current Cold War premium bonus. So I'm assuming like the lines to be able to get 50% more XP and 50% more silver to get to a vehicle in a tech tree line, like we've had for World War II. And can we get more of this pick your week long boost ops? It's been very well received, so they are looking always to deliver it more often, which is good. I think that's a very, very good choice from Wargaming, you know, being able to pick whether you want the silver boost or the XP boost or the commander boost. Very, very good. And can we get the Polish Black Panther in Cold War? It's 2014 and we can't get that modern just yet, so no is the answer. I'm assuming though, since they've said that we can't get that modern just yet, maybe we'll be seeing Era 4 and Era 5 within Cold War, maybe. Or maybe this will change the name of Cold War to something else, like modern tanks. I have no idea, but it'd be interesting. And of course, they've got to build out that Cold War tech tree line anyway, since there's not that many vehicles in Cold War. So I assume that they'll be prioritizing getting and filling out that period within the game first, and then moving on to think about the future vehicles in the game as well. So that is the update news for this week. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed, and let me know what you think about the new St. Patrick's Day content, as well as, of course, the new operation for the Dream Machines as well. It'd be very interesting to see how you received the operation. Do you think I was over kind of being critical of it? I don't know. I just think that it's just not going to be possible for the majority of players in the game. But there you go. Thank you very much for watching. And if you want to check out some of the other videos on, of course, the new vehicles that have come into the game, including that horrible missile-only tank destroyer, then of course you can check back on the channel at the last couple of videos, including some of the Season Pass tanks as well, that you can have a look at as well. But other than that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day, and of course a fantastic rest of next week, and I hope you join me back in another video coming soon. Goodbye.